Alright guys, we need a new look. Nintendo's released the Super Nintendo, and it's 8 whole bits better than the NES. We want to bring Mega Man to the platform, but we feel he's kind of run his course as is.
I'm good.
I think it's time.
I think so. For sure.
Okay, so how do we do that? I'm thinking we need a new name. Something that screams new, interesting, fast.
Well, how about Super Mega Man?
I gotta be honest, I like where your head's at. I really do.
Yeah, I did like
But let's shoot for something bigger. Come on, folks.
Well, I think it would be kind of cool to say Mega Man 16, because of the bits.
What? That don't even make any sense.
What?
Why did I sleep with you?
That's just stupid, Johnson. No one would name games directly referencing the platform capabilities. Get out.
Thank you. Yeah, go get some coffee or something.
You guys suck.
I don't know, boss. Maybe Mega Man X? Something?
Bob, you're a fucking genius.
Truly.
It's fast, it's sharp,
Inspired.
and anything associated with the future has an X tied to it. My mind is alive with possibilities. It's extreme.
How did you come up with that? I don't know. Just came to me. I have to say, I've always been pretty creative.
All right, that's it. Mega Man X. Man, I'm so jazzed about this right now. He'll be faster, sleeker. He'll climb walls and have upgrades. I can see it now. He will be Mega Man X, and he will be embraced by millions of gamers. I bet he'll be the best received game in the franchise, and just when you think it can't get any better.
Oh, I'm excited.
We'll pivot back to the original Mega Man for no conceivable reason to continue with that series. Are you with me?
What? I think you're onto something. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're here to talk about Mega Man X, and while the title may not be that creative, the soundtrack definitely is. Mega Man has always been a series that has stepped up to the plate of delivering pretty good music. Mega Man 2 took it to levels of songwriting and composition that knocked it out of the park. Since that point, the franchise soundtracks have been good to great, but never quite landed as well for me. So when it came to make the official jump to 16-bit, I believe Team Capcom decided to show us everything Mega Man should have been by taking it one step further, including composing a fucking killer soundtrack. The collaborative effort to create Mega Man X's soundtrack is striking because there were 5 people who contributed to it, with 1 carrying most of the weight. Toshihiko Horiyama, Yuki Iwai, Yukon Takahara, Makoto Tomozawa, and Setsuo Yamamoto all contributed to this soundtrack to make it what it is. Now notably, the main composer here is definitely Setsuo Yamamoto, having contributed 27 of the 34 music tracks. I have to believe the other composers were under Setsuo's direction because the songs that Horiyama, Iwai, Takahara, and Tomozawa put forth fit the album pretty well. Yuki Iwai also went on to create the soundtrack for Mega Man X2 solely. A fine effort, but lacking the overall complexity and attitude of Mega Man X's, but that's just my personal opinion. Spending time with this soundtrack is one of my favorite things to do as a video gamer and lover of music, because these songs truly are like listening to a master of the craft at work. Setsuo will be my main focus in this review simply because the man is a marvel, pure and simple. There's something I find overly charming and astonishing about being able to master not only an instrument, but master taking samples of instruments and shoving them into a sound chip that can only do so much and having it come out just like this. It's beautiful and takes real talent. Yamamoto really is a master craftsman when it comes to video game music, especially in this era, not taking anything away from the orchestral themes of games today, but these chiptunes really do have like a vice grip on my heart. So to start off the review, I couldn't not mention the title theme that from moment one sets the stage as a different type of Mega Man than we were used to. The original games have oft been covered by heavy metal bands and rock musicians and the like, but when this theme hits, it takes all those implied possibilities of the original series and drove them home as a reality. It's not a terribly intricate song or even a great one, but what it is a mood setter. Immediately with the guitar slide intro, it said, let's fucking go. It told us this is going to be a fast-paced, rhythm-heavy, and wild ride of a soundtrack, and even with the calmer songs, it doesn't lose much momentum throughout. See, just listening to that right now is a great example. You can tell the speed of the game, the implications of what you're about to experience, and I think that's very cool. A drastic difference from the original Mega Man, where it wasn't so much about speed, but yeah, it conveys it very well. Done by Yamamoto. Now, I'm going to flip-flop between composers for all the songs because I want to give everyone a shot. I want everyone to be showcased because it was, again, a collaborative effort. So moving on, I'm going to be talking about Toshihiko Horiyama's one contribution to this album, the password theme. I love it. It's a delightful little segue between levels or when you run out of lives, and it fits nicely into this album. It's a very light and bouncy feel with a nice lead to it. It's not super complex, but offers a fun little romp between action. See? It puts a smile on your face and captures the simplicity and goofiness of the sprites on screen, popping their heads up and down. I really like the way the chorus section kind of takes that one away. It adds a nice element to it for a fairly simple song. Now next, we're coming back to Yamamoto. I want to cover the intro stage because of just how intense it is. Immediately when you're playing the game, we're transported to a cityscape that's been decimated by robots. The song starts with a nice drum fill that leads straight into a theme that captures urgency and a hint of despair, all while being fairly upbeat and heavy. In the forefront, we hear lead guitar wailing the main theme, which gives that real emotional kick. And I think in the background, the bass is keeping the groove going with such smoothness. It all comes together to create a wonderfully different Mega Man, and that was important because this was the first time we would ever control X on the new system. So this was our step into the future of gaming for the Mega Man franchise, and boy did it leave an impression, at least on me. With killer graphics and hidden mechanic tutorials in the level, the soundtrack was that final element that kind of brought everything alive, and Setsuo Yamamoto knew that. Again, that lead really takes it away and brings home that feeling, that desperation of what's going on in this world, and it makes it a realization to the gamer. It feels a little bit more real because of that music. Now, next, Yuki Iwai also only composed one song for this album, Chill Penguin Stage, and I wanted to showcase this song, again, to give everyone their respect. But it is a very different song. It's very playful and is a little bit different than all the others. The scales up front really set it apart as a technical song compared to what we've heard so far, at least what I've played here. And when the bass line mirrors the lead, it gets pretty wild. I like it a lot. The song somehow captures that level, what you're experiencing on screen, pretty well. The deep bass makes the level come alive with a feeling of heaviness, not metal heavy, weight heavy, and not metaphorical weight, like piles of snow being dumped on your shoulders heavy. Perhaps my history with this game will tarnish my objectivity. I'm sure it does, but what reviewer doesn't have that problem? This song just fits, and the composition is fun enough to keep us engaged and entertained. UI demonstrates a lot of talent in that song, and it's no surprise that they tapped her to be the composer for the second game solely. So she deserves a lot of respect for that. That song is very fun, and it was just a toe in the water of her capabilities. Now, for a slight change of pace, I wanted here to discuss one of Yamamoto's weaker tracks, Launch Octopus Stage. Now, it is a unique song. It does have a different feel, and I think that's because it's mainly driven by bass. Now, bass is prevalent in all these songs. It's got a very, very noticeable tone and feel to it because of the chip. While the brass section is keeping the theme going, the bass is holding up the rear in kind of a stutter step rhythm. Overall, the song is split up a little too nicely for my taste. It starts with bass, the horns come in, and the horns go away. Then comes the lead guitar to bring it home. I think my main complaint with it is that it just feels a bit empty. It accompanies the level well enough, but really doesn't have that attack of almost every other song. Again, not bad, just a little too uninspired for the rest of the album, in my opinion. There is one other track that almost is on this level. I'm thinking of Sigma Stage 3, but even that has a little bit more personality and vibrance than this one. Yeah, just listening to that again, it does have that emptiness to it. You know, while the brass is going, you'd think there could be something besides just the bass and drums along with it. So I feel like that song just doesn't pull its weight quite as well as a lot of the other songs on this album. And now Boomer Kuwanger. The enemy I joke broke Google because if you type it in, a picture of the Maverick comes up before the actual animal it represents does. This song was composed by Yuko Takahara and also was their only credit. I like the song because it opens with an electronica loop that immediately sets it apart from the other tracks, and it slowly builds to a nice crescendo and sustains it until the very end of the song. The galloping bass line is so fun to listen to with the horns. It has a nice solo section, and with every booming percussion transition comes even more. My favorite part is the accenting strings heard in the background to give a flutter of hope behind this kind of otherwise dark song. The strings lead into the real sense of adventure this song evolves into, and the horns take it away until the loop, delivering a wonderfully fun piece and welcome addition to the album. I really love how that song builds. It's got a lot of attitude behind it. And like I was saying earlier, it just keeps building and building, and the crescendo lasts until the end of the loop, and it's such a fun time. And I think it does have this sense that you get a couple times throughout the album, the sense of kind of desperation. It captures that feeling of the game pretty well. Now, Makoto Tomozawa delivered a couple heavy songs to this album to help keep that nice heavy metal aesthetic. Spark Mandrill and Storm Eagle are arguably two of the heaviest songs on this album, and while everyone listening wants me to showcase Storm Eagle's theme, I'm going with Spark Mandrill. Why? Because I'm not 8 anymore. Storm Eagle is a fine song, and is definitely a rock anthem for this soundtrack, but it's pretty stock as far as I'm concerned. I dug it a lot as a kid, but listening to it now, it just did not hold the same water that I thought it did. Not digging on Tomozawa at all, but I think he did a better job with Spark Mandrill's theme. It reigns supreme between the two tracks. Its persistent drum beat makes you feel like you're riding a train with the rhythmic thumping in threes. Those galloping drums coupled with the thumping bass line really bring the weight of the song home for me. It drives the song with a speed that you can feel while the lead guitar sings the somewhat sad melody. The song really gets me going when I'm playing the game, and my dash button really gets taken to task every time because of it. It's got such a fun and persistent speed to it that you can't help but get caught up while playing. Yeah, the triplets really keep that song moving, and I really love it. It's so fun. Now moving on, Setsuo Yamamoto will be the featured artist because, again, he contributed so many songs on this album. I wanted to cover just a few more songs without playing everything on this album. So the next song is Sigma Stage 2. It starts with a walking bass line that only takes a slight break in the interlude. Its usage of slow gallop and what I refer to as slap octaves really set this one apart for me. To me, this song captures everything about this game. When I listen to it, I think of all it took to get this far, so close to the end. There's a real weight to this song, even if it isn't heavy. What I mean is that it's not particularly sad or rife with heavy guitars chugging away. The fate of the world of Mega Man X is demonstrated in this song for me, and I love every second of it. there's just so much emotion in that song. You know, it starts off pretty steady. It's like a marching song, marching beat, and then for like half a beat, all the instruments feel like they stop, and then the guitars really kick in. The whole song kicks off. You hear the strings in the background, really giving a sense of panic almost to the song, that, you know, stuff is happening and this is the pivotal moment. So I think they capture that very well in this song. So kudos to Yamamoto for that. Now, there are some ballads on this album, and I did want to show you guys at least one. Is It Over, which plays after you beat the game. It's one of the, I think there's only 2 songs that are genuinely ballads in an otherwise kind of insane album. I love the bass of what I'm going to call a harpsichord, but in reality, it's probably just an acoustic guitar. It doesn't let up, even when the bass and bells overwhelm it. It kind of keeps that somber feeling of questioning the future. To me, this song shows that Setsuo has an ability beyond what the rest of the album is. And it is such a wonderful break in mood. You know, it brings back to me the first time I beat Mega Man 2. There's a sadness in the air. Mega Man games kind of have always been a bit melodramatic, but that's part of what connects us to them. I really like the way the bells take it away in that song. It's a unique instrument to use in a game like this because it does perpetuate that kind of feeling of innocence. And not to get too weird, but you know, Mega Man X is essentially a newborn robot learning his sentience. He's sentient, he can make his own decisions, but he's learning how to fit in the world that he's found himself in. So I think it's a unique choice and a very smart choice for the game as a whole. And again, Setsuo is very good at what he does. He probably knew that and was just showing another way of tying the soundtrack to the source material and making it cohesive. So kudos again to him for that. The song builds in a very slow and methodical way, and it really drives home the uncertainty of the future, and it's really cool. So 2 more songs, and then I'll stop. I'm going to land here on Staff Roll. This song is so fun. It's light, it's punchy, and it has an almost jazz, big bandy fusion thing going on. I can't get enough of it. The horns play such a perfect accenting role while the bells chime away with the simple yet prominent bass line. I just dig it. I just really like that song. It's so fresh and different when you compare it to the rest of the album, but somehow it manages to fit perfectly with it. I think that song and Is It Over kind of have that feel where Setsuo was kind of showcasing something different, different styles, while making it work with the album he's creating. So great song. And the last song that I cannot end this podcast without having talked about, this song has wavered in and out of my top spot for best song on the album. And I've decided for the sake of this podcast that it has ever so slightly edged out Sigma Stage 2. That song is Armored Armadillo's theme. It is bar none the prime example of Yamamoto's masterful skill at work. Not only is it intricate, fast-paced, and insanely fun to listen to, every instrument gets its moment in this song. When it starts with a loud brass section, you know you're in for a wild ride. This song easily captures the theme of the level because you're riding what is essentially just a very fast, futuristic minecart the entire time. So it gets your blood going immediately, only to die off for a beat and then count back in with the same speed as before. I fucking love this song. In this song, it's the non-traditional instruments that kind of take center stage, with brass leading the way all the way. In the first main section of the song, you can hear the lead guitars accenting the blaring horns in kind of a delicate oscillation. It's amazing. Towards the end of the loop, the brass takes a seat and the lead guitar brings it home in a strong finish. It's so powerful. I can't get enough of the song, like I've said. Throughout the entire song, the brass and drums are just simply chugging along, and in no other song do the drums sound so crisp and so punchy. This song is the definition of this game, a wild, intricate, fun, and absolute mastery of the craft in full demonstration. Easily one of the top songs for me of the 16-bit era. God, I just love it so much. It's so different, and it really showed everything that Mega Man X could be that the original series just didn't have. And that's just my opinion. I'm not taking anything away from the original series. It's so good, especially Mega Man 2. That goes without saying. And the music of that generation definitely had character and spunk. But I think when Mega Man X came out, they had something to prove, and I really think it comes out. They've got 5 composers. It's bound to have, it's either going to fail or it's going to be really, really tight. And this is really tight. They did not fail to deliver on this one. And while Setsuo Yamamoto wrote the lion's share of the record, I don't want to understate the importance of every other artist, because without Horiyama's brightness, Iwai's quirkiness, Takehara's darker electronica, or Tomizawa's straight-up heavy metal, this album would have suffered. Yamamoto didn't do it himself, and they should be very proud of their contributions. So all in all, this album is absolutely killer. Aside from a couple songs that lack quite the drive and interesting motifs of the rest of the album, it's not enough to knock it down any peg, especially because one of those songs is more of a segue theme than anything, One of the things that unifies this album is the use of reverb throughout. There's a clear effect that gives this album some added volume when you listen to it. It helps bring the album into a more cohesive project, and I really think it suits the album and the game as a whole. So do yourselves a favor. Buy this album. I know for a fact this has been released a few times, and as of this recording, Laced Records is having it up for pre-order on vinyl by itself. It did get released a year or two ago as the Mega Man X album collection for all 8 games. So it did come out on that, but now they're releasing it as a standalone album, which is pretty fucking awesome. So get over there and really check it out in its entirety, because this album is something to behold alongside the other chiptune greats.
10 out of 10.